This is one of my favourite things that I love doing in the world. I love going into corporate companies and look at how to get them punching above their weight. I love it. So how I do that is I go and share my 7-step winning formula. Now these 7 steps are what had me become a world boxing champion. Now I promise you, if you apply these 7 steps to you, your business or your work and your life, you too will produce world-class results. And that's how I get teams punching above their weight. We look at the team as a whole, because without teamwork, the dream don't work, right? But then we look at the individual within the team. So step number 1, win or lose, you choose. So do you choose to lose? It don't kind of make sense, but sometimes we do choose to lose, because if you choose not to take the required actions, if you're not doing what you know you should be doing, then you're kind of choosing to lose. Now, win or lose, you choose is easy to see about choosing the choices that you make to live into that future. It's kind of clear, but it's the unconscious stuff. That's what we like to look at, because that's where the value is. That's where the gold is in the stuff that's not being said. It's in the unconscious. KO fear is step number 2. We get them to look at and confront and challenge themselves on a daily basis. KO fear. So would you like to have more courage in your life? So where would you like to have more courage? Because that's what we're placed to look at. So would more courage, what would it open up for you? What would it make available? If you could confront and KO your fear on a regular basis, how would your life look different? Step number 3, fight for what you want. So as a team, what are we in pursuit of? Are we all aligned in pursuit of a goal? So that's the thing to look at. So as an individual, so you'll be looking at this as an individual. So are you clear about what it is that you want? Are you fighting for what you want? That's something to consider. Now, step number 4 is you're only as good as your next fight. So what that means is you're only as good as the future that you're living into. So what is the future that you're living into? Because we kind of have a default future. So me as a boxer, as an athlete, you'd have seen it countless of times. We retire from being a professional athlete, and then we have a default future. We kind of get lost, hit the bottom, rock bottom. A lot of us do. So for me, retired from boxing, depression, divorce, bankruptcy. We've heard it loads and loads of times. And that's the default future that we all have. So what is your future? Do you have a default future? You may not even thought about it like that, but you're going to end up where you're going to end up. And you're probably on track to where you're ending up. So the thing about what I had to do, I had to interrupt the pattern, my default future, and then I had to invent a new future. So what I like to look at with teams, invent and create and design a future. Not based upon the past, nothing to do with the past. We create a compelling and exciting future that we're living into. And that's step number 4. Step number 5, take it on the chin, metaphorically speaking. Have you taken life on the chin? Now, we all know that life just doesn't always go the way that we plan it, does it? It's just, that's life. And that's the way that it is. But what I get for myself, so my first experience of taking it on the chin, metaphorically speaking, because I've taken loads on the chin, was when I challenged for the 2nd time for the World Championships. Now, the fight was brutal. It went the full 12 rounds. And I'm standing there in the centre of the ring, waiting for the decision. They put the other guy's hand up, and I'd lost again. Now, there's a lot of controversy after this fight, because he failed the drug test. Yeah, he failed the drug test. No wonder I couldn't catch him. Have you ever felt cheated? Have you ever felt I was so upset? And you know what I get? The lesson I get from that experience is to produce world-class results, you've got to be willing to leave the past in the past, your adversity, your setbacks, your defeats. You've got to be powerful in the face of whatever's coming at you. And that's what makes a fighter. That's what makes a champion. So that's what we look at. So it's being able and willing to take it on the chin, make changes, because step number 6 is jab and move. It's about jabbing and moving. As a boxer, we're always looking for new approaches, new ways of winning. So in life, if you're doing the same thing and it ain't working, you've got to look at making some changes, because jab and move. Because if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got, right? We've all heard that before. It's a great saying. Step number 7 is boxing clever. So it's about incorporating and utilising those first 6 steps to really box clever, really engage, get focused, confront yourself, fight for what you want, look for what you want, get coached, look for the outcome, have an alignment within your team to be focused on the future that you're creating, because that's what it's all about. Now, as a team, if you're all in alignment, moving towards a designed goal, that creates momentum, that creates excitement, that creates velocity, so we can get there a lot quicker than what we think we can if we all joined and we all become one, because groups are stronger than individuals, right? But we're all individuals within that team. So be clear and get focused and look at your personal performance within the team. So that's how I get teams to get punching above their weight. We look at the individual and we look at the whole, because personal performance is exactly that. It's about your personal performance and what is stopping you, what gets in the way for you to perform even better than what you are. Because I'm sure you're a success anyway, but if you're anything like me, you want more and more and more. That's just a human trait. We keep wanting more. We keep getting what we get. We want more. And then that's okay. That's okay. Just keep going, but be satisfied on the journey. And don't be too attached to getting what you want to get to, because if you're like me, I was so attached to becoming a world champion. I eventually got it, and then it wasn't quite as what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't. I needed something else to then fight for. So I needed a goal beyond the goal. So now my life's about feeling good, feeling satisfied, being fulfilled and satisfied with the journey that I'm on. And I want more, and I want more, and I'm keeping going, and I'm fighting for everything that I want, and I'm happy at the same time. So it's all available. So what should you do when things go wrong? Well, things going wrong is inevitable, because that's life, right? And if you're anything like me, you're going to get a lot of things that are going to go wrong. So take a moment, take a breath, and just have a look at what has gone wrong, and start to dismantle, take apart what has actually happened. Because what we tend to do when things go wrong, we kind of make up stories about ourselves and about other people, and we kind of may like to blame our situations or our circumstances for things going wrong. So my thing is about looking at and considering your part that you've played in what's gone wrong. Now, for me as a boxer, I had many things go wrong, especially in the ring. Unfortunately, I got cut and bruised, broken noses, lots and lots of times. So in a fight, you have a plan, but things don't always go according to plan. Have you ever noticed that your life hasn't gone according to plan? That's inevitable. So you have to learn to be able to adapt. So that's the key thing. So winners are the ones that can adapt and just jab and move. It's about looking for new approaches, and also it's about looking at what went wrong and then being responsible for whatever's gone on. And it's all about designing and creating that future. So it's all about the future. So if things have gone wrong, things going wrong is a real opportunity. It's an opportunity to reassess and look at the future that you're living into, because that's how we learn, right? We learn and grow through the mistakes that we make. Now, as an athlete, as a boxer, we're doing that all the time. Now, one of my things that I used to do is, I call it being committed to excellence. So as I was training for a fight, my dad would video the sparring, and then we'd take the video home, and I'd always look for what I could work on. I was always looking for what was missing. I wasn't looking for what was wrong. I was looking for what was missing. If it were there present, would make the difference. Because we're all about looking at the things that will make the difference, right? Because sometimes it's the small things in life that make the big difference. So have a look at that. Be committed to excellence and fail your way to the top. So I become a world champion on my 4th attempt. I failed 3 times, but I eventually achieved my dream and become the world champion on my 4th attempt. So that was being committed to excellence. That was being persistent. That was having the courage to keep stepping up, being prepared. I was willing to get things wrong to get the result that I was looking for over time. Now, things are not going to work out all the time. But if you're playing big, you're up to big things in life, it ain't always going to go your way. That's just inevitable. But have the courage, create the future, step into that future and design it, because you are the one you've been waiting for, because there ain't no one else. You are it. And I'm excited for that, because if you're anything like me, you're hungry, you can produce world-class results, because that's who we are, right? We're winners, we're go-getters, and we are world-class. So if things go wrong, just take a moment, take a breath, take yourself outside of the situation, look at it, reassess, look what part you played in it, but also look for the future and how it can be different. And don't repeat the same patterns, because that's insanity. If you keep repeating the same things that you're doing, that's not going to get us to become world class. So you've got to be willing to make the changes, look at doing things differently, and go again, because that is how champions are made, and you are a champion. So how to stop being your biggest critic? That voice in the head, you know, the mental boxing match that you're going to have with yourself on a daily basis. Criticizing, judging yourself, reevaluating, assessing yourself, making yourself wrong. It just doesn't work, right? Well, it kind of gets you what you're going to get. Now, you've got to be careful where you're going to focus, because where you place your focus, energy will flow there. So where is it you want to place your focus? It's all about getting into the future and just having the belief in yourself that you will eventually get there. So when I retired from boxing, I went through an identity crisis. I had a real tough time. I didn't know who I was, what I was going to do. I didn't know the future. I had no future, and I was so uncertain of the future. Have you ever been uncertain of your future? It's not easy. And I was in a turmoil. I tried loads of different things. I pursued so many different things. I was depressed. I wrecked my marriage. I went through a divorce, and I was on my way to becoming bankrupt. So here's the thing. Can you imagine? I eventually went bankrupt. So I lost everything. So I've been a world champion. I've been top of the bill in Las Vegas, Wembley, the Royal Albert Hall. I had such a successful career. And now here I was, bankrupt, lost everything, depressed. I kind of hit the bottom. I hit rock bottom. And can you imagine the criticizing that I was doing of myself? I had a story. I felt like a complete failure. So I moved back in with my parents, who were amazing, and I started again. I had to rebuild myself. But so the first 2 years of my retirement, the worst 2 years of my life, I was just struggling. And that voice in my head was just criticizing me all the time. I'm a failure. What you done? How did you end up the way you ended up? Life's a struggle. I had all that going on until a point of I kind of decided to stop doing that. I had to choose to be something different. I had to break that pattern, but I had to work on myself. So I've done lots and lots of training. I've done lots of studying. I've been in rooms with people, in seminars. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours with people looking at how we can be the best we can be. And the thing to get through is that critic. It's about being a victim. I was a victim. I ended up being a victim of my situation and my circumstances, because I wanted to blame everyone else. Where I'd ended up, I didn't want it to be my fault, but I had to be responsible that it was. So then I got my power back. So it's about being empowered and inspired, which is difficult sometimes when you're on the floor, when you're rock bottom. It's difficult to see a way out. But there is always hope. There is always a way out. And that's how I kind of started to crack. And I wrote my book about man up. I had to man up. I had to man up. I had to step up. And I had to go again. But this fight was different. This battle was a completely different one. One that I didn't know anything about. The internal battle. Because I've been an athlete. I knew how to physically fight. That was my life. That was easy for me. But outside in the real world, I struggled, and it took something for me to hit the bottom. Then for some of us to wake up, we need a wake-up call, right? I got mine. And it was during my crisis, my own personal crisis, I kind of realized that what I was doing just wasn't working. What had me be Billy the Boxer, what had me be a champion in the ring, was now having me fail outside. So I had to rediscover who Billy was, but I had to get through that criticism, that inner voice I had to break through myself. I had to give up myself to then find myself. And that's what I did. I went on a journey of self-discovery. I dismantled myself. I took myself to pieces looking at who Billy was. And that's why I do the work that I do now. Inspire and empower groups of people, individuals. And that's my life mission. I found my purpose to inspire and empower people. And I found it. But when I was at rock bottom, I went through some really, really tough times. And now, what I'm doing now, I just couldn't even see it. I couldn't even begin to imagine I'll be here speaking to you now about what I'm speaking about. It just wasn't anywhere in my vision. So go beyond yourself, break the habit of being yourself, because if what you're doing is not working, look at making some changes. And that's what I do. I'm a coach. I'm a personal performance coach. I work with people personally, and I work with groups of people, all about getting the best out of themselves so they can go and create, be world class, whatever that is in their lives, and listen, and be inspired and live a great life, because that's what's available. So for me, I stand here before you happier, more fulfilled and satisfied than I've ever been, from being rock bottom, on the floor, depressed. I was in dark places, and here I am today. So if I can do that, then anything is possible. Success. How do you define success? What is success? Well, that's a great question. I mean, success is made up, isn't it? I mean, I become a world champion. That was success. But then I kind of failed afterwards. You know what? The mistake that I made, which is a failure on my part, is I didn't have a goal beyond the goal. I was looking to achieve something extraordinary, become a world champion. I eventually achieved it on my 4th time of asking. It took me years. Well, I had my first contest when I was 11 years of age, and I eventually won that belt when I was 31. So it took me 20 years to win that poxy belt. 20 years. A lot of blood, sweat and tears. I shed them all in pursuit of success. But success is a made up thing. Now, the problem is that we kind of compare ourselves a lot to other people. We think that other people are more successful, especially on social media. People are painting themselves to have these great lives, but have they really? And I go inwards, because we've always got to go inwards. Go within yourself and define what success is for you. Because it doesn't have to be the flash car, the materialistic things, because that, have them if you want them, have them. Why not? They're available, so have them. But that doesn't define who you are. So success for me shows up just by feeling good. So for me to feel good, that's a broad thing to say. But then I know if I'm doing the right things, if I'm living my life the way that I know that I should be doing, and I'm actively engaged in things that work for me, I'm physical, mental, nutritional, fitness. If I'm doing all of the right stuff, then that's a success for me. And if I can wake up in the morning and feel good, I've cracked it, because I've been through some tough times, some dark days, where the only thing I kept saying to myself when I was going through my tough times was, I just want to feel good. I just want to feel good. I want to wake up and feel good, because I felt terrible. All day, every day, what I did was I'd wake up in the morning when I was going through my tough time, then it was kind of instantly on me like a black cloud, and it was just on me. And in those times, all I wanted to do was feel good. So now it's breaking through whatever that was, whatever that is for you. What else is available? Because there's always something else available. And who you are is not who you are either. Who you want to be may be something different to what you are now. But I believe that anything's possible. Now, I become a world champion, which is an extraordinary thing to do. Now, that took something. That took blood, sweat and tears for years and years to eventually achieve that. But then I had to reinvent myself and recreate myself from nothing, because I lost everything and I had to start again. So it's about, that's a success for me now. Now, for me to stand here before you, happier, more fulfilled and satisfied than I've ever been, man, that is success, because I've cracked it. I found my path, I found my mission in life, and I found my purpose. So I'm living with what I talk about is passion, power and purpose. And I'm waking up in the morning and feeling good because I'm powerful and I'm living on purpose. So that's the way that I define success, because success is made up. Just go inwards and have a look for yourself. Don't compare yourself with others and what they're up to and what they've got. Just be satisfied. And then if you want more, go get more. But that is not what it's about, because becoming the world champion, it wasn't really it. I was so attached to getting there and becoming that top athlete. But when I got there, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be like. And then I lost it, and then I had to start all again. So just be mindful and have a bit of patience and just assess where you're at and what success looks like to you. And also, we've all got to be progressing. So if I'm making progress every day, it could be little bits, just keep moving forward, then I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, and I'm satisfied. So have a look inside. Are you on track? Are you on path? And what does success for you look like in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 3 years, 5 years? What does it look like? And if you can write that down, share it with people, and then if you're moving towards that, you're going to fulfill on what it is that you want. But also the main thing is you're going to feel successful, because if you're on track, if you're on pathway to fulfilling on what it is that you want for yourself and your life, then you are a success. Mentoring, coaching, counselling, there's so many words thrown about, but they're different. And mentoring, coaching is not counselling. So what I do, I'm a personal performance coach. So I work with individuals and I look at their personal performance, because performance is a personal thing. Now I also work with groups of people. So we're looking at group dynamic, the group performance. But then if you think about it, you've got individuals within that group. So you might be part of a team. It's about how to get your team punching above their weight, but you're an individual within that team. So we're looking at your own personal performance. And generally what we look at is what stops you, what gets in the way of you performing to the best of your ability. So mentoring and coaching is different from counselling or psychotherapy or psychiatry, because that's a different level of training. Now as a coach, a performance coach, I look at, and it's when I'm mentoring as well, there's a blend, there's a mix of all kind of things that go on. So look at your coach. Are they prepared? Have they lived the life that you've lived yourself? Have they got the experience to take you to the next level? And they are separate things. Counselling is separate, so don't confuse the things. So mentoring is more of a guidance. Coaching is about getting you to a place that you want to get to. Counselling is very different. Psychotherapy, they go into the past and dismantle that. So what I tend to do is not that. I don't go too far into the past unless you want to go there. All depends on what is there and what you can get rid of. So it's about coaching, it's about performance, it's about moving forward, living into that future, because you don't have to deal with everything in the past. Now, some people may do, but I don't think you need to go too far into the past to then create a compelling, exciting future to live into. Now, as a master practitioner of NLP, we use NLP techniques to deal with the past. So that's something we can look at. But coaching for me is about an inquiry into the future. And that's what it's all about for me. It's about who you're being in this present moment is going to allow you to fulfill on the future that you're creating. So we get you really clear about what it is that you do want and take the stuff out of the way that is getting in your way so you can fulfill on it. Because it's stuff, we talked about the past being in the future. There's a lot of stuff from our past which gets in the way, which stops us really fulfilling on the stuff that we want to fulfill on, and life. So it's about getting clear of that. So there's certain techniques, certain strategies, certain conversations that you can have with somebody, and maybe have they lived through it themselves? Have they gone through what you're going through? Then you can relate to them. Can they relate to you? So mentoring is such a valuable tool. I have mentors, coaches in my life constantly, and I'm constantly at work on myself, listening to books, reading books, going to seminars, because I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a student of life. And I'm just having a go like you. I'm just having a go, doing my best I can. And I'm not perfect. Me and perfect, we don't even belong in the same town. I'm just out there having a go because I'm a champion. I'm a fighter. I'm a go-getter. And life is for the taking. So I'm out there to take it. And I'm doing the best that I can every day. Feeling good about what I'm up to. So that's what I'm about. So what are you up to? What are you feeling good about? Are you feeling good?